All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Dr. Stone, Season 1, Episode 20. We're making smartphones.
We're making smartphones!
All right. I
can't believe we're here. I would have said that as like a joke. Like, what's the first thing they're gonna make? Smartphones? And then it's like, no, actually, kind of.
Yeah. But to what extent? Like, are we talking old Blackberries or,
Right. They're going to make advanced cellular technology.
Right.
Advanced communication technology.
Yep.
And the catchy tagline is smartphones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what if they actually, create,
terrifying.
A computer network of sorts by which they can then interface with, I mean,
I cannot wait for them to use them. The creation of it is going to be great, but just to see how they're going to be running circles around Tsukasa and everybody, because we got smartphones.
Right. But think about what the application could be if this is just a step in the show science roadmap. Like it's something where, eventually they're going to find out basically what ended up, going down with the space station and stuff.
Yeah, potentially.
So we're gonna have to find the way that smartphones ends up leading into the next kind of scientific development, which I'm assuming has to be just the computer. Like the computer is basically the next step because there was all kinds of things in the new OP that seem to push in the computer area of things. So,
but
there's that. But hey, we still have to deal with the Tsukasa Empire,
right?
Because we didn't defeat them forever or anything.
On a bit of a timetable for this one, So,
but thankfully, we also have Yuzuriha and Taiju in the wings, ready to be called in to help. And I am so excited to see those two again.
Assuming that they're okay, because now that they know that Senku's alive,
that's true. That's true. That's true. But I think for the most part, this should be good.
Yeah.
But So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Wow.
All right, we've got hydroelectric power. We've got ourselves actually working on the base nature of making the original kind of integral components for doing
wire.
This whole thing with wire and stuff. Yeah. So we're starting off in the middle of the cell phone roadmap.
Right.
Specifically taking gold and making it into wire so that we can then
coil.
Be able to make coil once we have plastic. But they kind of didn't start at the beginning by taking copper, coal, charcoal, and beehive to make plastic. So I'm curious at what point will they then go back to that point and start from there. I'm guessing that on some level they're maybe going to be prepping things a little bit to make the batteries first so that they can have energy storage. Maybe. Because they've already got electricity. So maybe a battery is more important in the immediate sense because you need to be able to test.
Get it up to
that.
Right, get it up to the point where it can have enough juice basically to actually be able to be used for a decent amount of time.
Right, because also maybe plastic is something that they could make in the winter, like you were saying that the weather might have something to do with it. Making just a circuit board, that's something that is. That's where the computerized part of things are, so it needs to be done really quickly.
Especially with the gold threads and stuff, I could imagine could have a huge effect on that, since you need to have them be very fine.
Right, and they have to make one before they can make a bunch, so they're probably going to stockpile tons of the material that they'll need for the individual thing. But are they going to make a tower first, or are they going to make actually the cell phone first? Because the way he said, I need the wire to go from here up to that mountain, I think that was Senku basically saying, up there at that mountain, that's where the tower is going to be. And then any device we make reroutes the radio wave signal to the from the tower.
Sure.
or it sends the signal up to the tower, which reroutes it to any other device.
Right, and then they'll basically have the wires go from the hydroelectric plant to the tower.
Right, just to keep it constantly going and on.
Yeah.
So, the hydroelectric, plant, by using a water wheel, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
What I love about it as well is that the water wheel being an invention that is far before the cell phone. Like that's some very long time ago stuff comparatively to where we are at right now in the modern age. However, just the idea of having a constant power source at all at this time is something that is so game-changing for everything else that they make from here on out, that in some ways Chrome kind of just deciding, hey, I've got some free time. Well, kind of got some free time. I'll just work on this and have it done. That's crazy. That's
absolutely crazy. Something that I just realized, though, if the water freezes over in the winter...
Oh, they'll lose power.
Or at least they'll need to go back to manual power.
It's a river. I think in some ways still water is much easier to freeze.
Sure,
It is depth. Depth is important too. But Japan, as far as I know, doesn't have that extreme of winters. I don't think they go like lakes entirely freeze over or something.
Well, they said that the water,
surrounding their base
freezes
village,
over, which is a potential issue. I thought they were going to originally. I thought they were going to say that they could use that as a way to like just try and scale the cliffs or something, but no, that would have been a bit much.
Yeah,
but that could potentially complicate things if like even something as simple as if you have like. If Senku is wanting the wire to actually go up to the mountain for a cell tower up there, as opposed to just like having that much wire because that's what they need in order to make all the stuff and whatnot, then snowfall and things like that could also potentially damage the wire, if it's not like below ground and,
Yeah, but they're going to put it in a vacuum tube. They're going to put it, they're going to put it in a protective casing of sorts that at the very least should be able to withstand most of the elements.
Yeah, I mean once they have plastic, they can coat it and things like that, and that definitely helps.
Right. But I think the reason why they're starting with the wire first is to get the circuit board battery process part at least for the most part ready so that they can deal with the machinery computer part. Sure. And then they'll do plastic at the very end of that to complete the actual structure of it. And
now that I think about it, they don't necessarily need to have the tower on the mountain, and if they did, they could theoretically try and create some other like energy source or whatever. They don't need to, have a wire going all the way from the hydroelectric plant all the way to the cell tower. True. Potentially.
They go wind power up on the mountain, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
I think the main thing, though, that we are bringing up is that they are creating so many cool inventions here, but all of them could be stopped by one person with malicious intent.
Yes.
And that is a very scary thing. So they are basing this a lot on the assumption that Tsukasa will not even raid them a little bit during the winter, which I think is a very optimistic view to take on this. If I was Tsukasa, I would have Homura coming back giving me probably weekly updates. Probably weekly. And I would say maybe bi-weekly. It doesn't have to be super frequent because they're already planning to attack in spring. Sure. But if there's a big development in one of them that it's like they have a bunch of inventions that they're creating that are separate from the village, that if you took 3 skilled people, you could quickly dispatch them and ruin the invention and set them back weeks in terms of actual effort.
My hope is that because the hydroelectric plant was something that happened completely removed from the village, they won't necessarily know about it. I agree, so while there's the possibility that they could stumble on it and be like, what the shit?
What's this?
This is a problem, right? Especially if there's a wire that goes from it into the village and stuff. Yeah. But if not that, hopefully they'll be okay.
Right.
And they did establish the whole idea of potentially not turning her, but
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Cotton candy is a powerful thing.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about that when we finish kind of discussing the plot stuff? Because I think there's some very deep, cool character stuff going on.
Yeah, let's talk about that later.
Okay. So we've got basically Taiju and Yuzuriha over in Tsukasa's camp, and they're very much aware that they are a potential threat.
Yep.
However, they are watching them the same way they've done all this time. So Tsukasa hasn't let up in his competence levels just because he thought Senku was dead all that time.
Yep.
So Taiju and Yuzuriha are going to be effective once the cell phones get distributed to them. But until then, they won't be able to be much help.
Oh, what if it was that what's the new girl's name?
Homura.
What if Homura was the one that ends up watching over them, and she ends up being like, maybe I like this whole Kingdom of Science thing a little bit,
Well, she's working on watching the Kingdom of Science right now, so she can't do both.
Yeah, but okay, that's true. That's true.
She's going to be watching primarily Senku, probably because he's the most danger to them. So
definitely.
They have their best scout, their best spy on that.
But yeah, that's a good
and someone that won't betray them like Gen, or they think won't betray them like Gen did.
Exactly. Yeah, because the whole idea of the person that's watching over, Yuzuriha and Taiju, that is an issue, right? Because they could always try and conk him on the head and knock him out or whatever. But if it's something where then that's something where then Tsukasa would be able to then figure out that they are not being observed, right?
Yes.
Whereas the best situation would be that they would have their smartphones, they would just duck behind a tree once in a while, give the thing, and the person that's watching them would be in on it and wouldn't say anything, right?
You could do the whole outpost, it's not to say outpost, the whole outhouse skit, I need to go take a bathroom break. It's like, you wouldn't impinge upon a woman's privacy, would you? And Taiju's like, how could you? And he's like, oh yes, let's go over here and skip rocks and talk about the soul and what it means to be a man. And then Taiju just gets them and they're all like, phew, and then the guy is just I could totally see that happening. God. I want that to be canon. And then she's
your
meanwhile,
pecs are looking real chiseled there.
Right.
What's your workout?
You get some good protein in there, my man. Yes.
How many pounds of wild hog do you eat a day?
Right. Yeah. And then it skips over to her, and she's like, passing along the info, and then it cuts back to them, and they're like crying and stuff. And it's like, sorry, man, I won't tell anybody. It's like, I appreciate it.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I would love that so much.
That would be so good. So I think that they can definitely handle themselves. I think that Tsukasa is going to keep them from being too much of a saboteur in the overarching conflict for the foreseeable future. But once they have cell phones and a little bit of time starts to go with that, a preemptive attack is guaranteed. But given the fact that we are coming up towards the end of this first season, I think on some level they're probably going to get just a little bit or most of the way through winter before the show ends for the second season.
And ideally, Senku, you would want to do a surprise attack. I'm thinking if you can finish early,
just a little bit
before winter's over. That way, it's the attack on Christmas thing, where they don't see you coming, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, that'll happen.
It's Valentine's Day.
Right.
Let's get this going.
Right. But who knows how that will all go and whatnot.
Oh my God. Just thinking about the fact that cotton candy was made, I want to say one of the things that this mangaka is doing that I absolutely love is that while we're making things that are scientifically interesting to understand how they work, cell phone, they understand that the audience might get still a little bit bored of the idea of, well, okay,
why should I care about gold wire and
it's just going to be a compilation of things happening that I don't fully understand over the course of time. But I want maybe a little bit of surprise and, oh my God, cotton candy machine? That's brilliant. Because suddenly they care because everyone, not everyone, a lot of people have had that experience when you tried cotton candy for the first time and you're like, what is this magical little wonder of science? And just getting to break that down for us and be like, it's actually quite easy.
Oh, yeah.
And this is how it's done. And this will be important and incredibly relevant for the process of making a cell phone. Just the fact that you could connect those two things. That's what makes most stories interesting, is that they ripped off one thing, but they're like, but we mashed up this other thing with that. And now suddenly it's an entirely new experience. And they're like,
Theoretically, they could set up an entire candy shop because most candy, it's not that it's not that complicated as far as the ingredients go.
As people that have worked in candy shops and observed how certain things are made, it is quite interesting, but it is also quite simple.
Like if you've got some cattle for like dairy, you know,
and
like
heat,
and
a heat source
and sugar. Like that's basically what you need.
You can do so much.
You can do a lot with that because like sugar and butter is like what most candies are made of, right? More or less.
And
like
butter is where you get more into the baking. Whereas just sugar, with that alone, you can get most of the typical candy that you want.
That would be so great if there was just like a department, you know, like a subsection, you know, and Ginro was in charge of it.
Right? I mean, the candy department.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Imagine,
you know, here's cotton candy. We also have caramel and seafoam, and you know, all these things.
I want to tap into some big brain energy here, just for a dumb theory.
Yeah,
Homura is going to receive a Valentine's.
Oh my God!
With
yes,
chocolate.
Yes,
from Ginro.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. That,
and she's gonna be like,
what?
I remember what it was like.
And I haven't had this for 2 years.
And then she's starting to realize that she's being like turned, and she's like, but I want to try the chocolate.
Yeah. Right.
Try it. Yeah. And then she comes to the village at some point, and she like leaves her own like equivalent like crafted handmade thing. It's like for Ginro, and she's still spying on them.
Oh sure,
but it's a thing of like thank you,
right?
You know,
or even something of like, hey, you know, I'm spying on you guys, so I might as well, like, you know, can I trade some stuff? Like
totally. But I'm trying to harken back to the times where, like, in World War I, the people would sing songs for each other across the trenches,
or even like because as much as I mentioned that whole idea of like attack on Christmas Day kind of a thing, there are also stories of like on Christmas Day people deciding let's not fight right now, and then they go hang out and like, you know, like leave the trenches, and then the next day, then they, you know, go
and start killing each other. But it is something where, like, I would love to see that kind of wholesomeness in the midst of this conflict. That while it is kind of, you know, it is kind of tame as far as, like, you know, war conflicts go.
The katanas are cutting up the weapons, not the people.
Right,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. There's this element of that power of friendship that I think would be really well implemented via something like candy. So brilliant stuff there. I also really want to talk about like Homura, like the whole thing of having Ruri notice the idea of, well, what if it's not actually just a propaganda thing? What if it's not just a thing of where we're getting to kind of lure her to our side, or even just to spread it to the others? What if Senku is realizing, you know, it might not be that great over in the Tsukasa Empire? Like, maybe you guys all have your massive orgies or what have you. I don't know. Like, maybe there's all some pretty great perks.
Or just the sort of salt of the earth, we're, you know, like independent and all that stuff.
Right, you have big flank steaks, you know, every night.
Exactly.
Like, that totally sounds pretty
cool.
good, you know. Steak and gratuitous sex, that sounds like wonderful. But, you know, what if actually just some of the simpler things of comfort you haven't experienced because it's hard work. And you're expected to be out here alone for months.
Right.
Now, you probably come back and get supplies every once in a while along when you deliver your reports. I assume so. They're probably like, you're doing one of the most important things for our empire right now.
And by the way, being a scout by yourself, that's gotta be
that's gotta suck.
That's gotta suck. Right? Like, because not only is it this is such a boring job, oh my god, but you're also by yourself. You got no one to talk to.
Nope.
That tree branch, you know, really starts to make your ass sore after, you know, the first few hours.
I'm
right?
sure she,
you know,
I'm sure she moves around.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure she doesn't also sleep on the tree branch.
Oh, yeah. But the idea of doing that, not just for like a day or two, but for weeks,
months.
Is she going to keep doing that in the winter?
In the winter?
Like,
probably not, but there's a possibility that it's like, no, we're going to give you winter clothing, and we'll give you maybe a winter tent that we made,
Yeah.
But no, you have to be out there.
Yep. And the only heat you get is from when you make a fire, which that gives away your location.
Well,
and then I mean, maybe it's like
they're not going to probably send people out there,
right? And if so, she could handle herself just fine.
She's got combat skills.
But then that and just bundle up in those furs, for when you sleep, right? Because that's the only heat is what's coming off your body, Yeah.
I wanted to bring up the little the Gandalf quote about little acts of kindness and love.
Yep.
Because Sukasa believes that it is great power that will win this war.
That's not what I've found.
That's not what I've found. I've found that little acts of kindness and love have more power than the force.
It's what really keeps the darkness at bay.
Indeed. Indeed. And that was it.
Yep.
Because I reject the idea that it was exclusively one or the other. Because I think that's what Ruri's dialogue was bringing up, that it was just that.
No, both is good.
And the thing is that things are never so simple. But the idea that it would be just propaganda, no, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Senku loves science, right? And the idea that he could use science to put a smile on somebody's face,
oh my God,
in a way that they haven't probably been able to smile in the last couple of years. Of course. Like,
definitely.
Yeah, who cares if they're the enemy, right? He's just doing his thing. Like, the only reason really that there's the split between Senku and Tsukasa is because, Tsukasa started murdering people and said, I don't want a kingdom of science, right?
Right.
Like if he had just been like, yeah, that's cool. I want to be the leader because I'm, the strong guy and all that stuff.
Senku probably would have been like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. I just want to do my thing,
I just want to help bring back humanity to the way things were.
Exactly.
And Tsukasa would have been like, well, how about not exactly the way things were?
And I suppose that would never happen in my lifetime anyway, so...
Sure, that's a really great point. I love, actually, the fact that we were talking about this before the episode here was talking about Tsukasa. The fact that Tsukasa is fighting so strongly for something he will never see the results of is actually quite inspiring.
Right. It's even though the things that he's doing are awful, it's honorable that he's doing something that he won't directly see the benefits of necessarily. Right, because he kind of does because he's the leader.
Oh, he totally sees look at that throne. You saw that throne, right?
And there was a lady in there, keeping the bed warm, it seemed.
Oh, yeah.
But...
he's definitely profiting off of it.
Right.
And I don't think he's a good person as far as that goes. But there is
villainous virtues.
You're right, villainous virtues. There is something to be said for the fact of how forward-thinking our primary antagonist and protagonist are.
Right.
And yet, the thing that's amazing about Senku is that he dares to believe that a lot of the effects of this are things that he will experience well before he dies, because it's him basically pushing the bounds of what people believe to be possible, because hey, y'all, science is really freaking cool, and a lot of things about it we just don't know or care to know about. And yet he's like, no, this is my life. I care so much that people know about this. So it's not just, the fact that he's giving her this wonderful, pleasurable experience. It's the fact that, just like the light bulb, people are going to see that and then start to question, wait, what else is possible?
Right. This is like in Civilization, when you've got the super militaristic, nation right next to you, and then you're just there with your democracy and everything and doing like the cultural, cultural win, and eventually
cities just
start joining you, like
they're like, why are your people so happy? I don't know. I just tend to treat them well and not turn to despotism. What a thought, right?
Like, we want some of that, and it also totally fits with the whole shonen trope thing of you fight your enemies and then after fighting them, your enemies become your friends.
Right.
Except in this case, Senku's not fighting them with fighting, he's fighting them with science, right? Have cotton candy, have a cola, look at that light bulb. Isn't it awesome? Isn't our world awesome?
Oh,
wouldn't it be really cool if we could get back to all that awesome stuff that, we ended up having?
Yeah. I love that it's also based on action and not words.
Yes.
There's something to be said for the power of words in a classic talk no jutsu, kind of style conversation.
Yep.
Because that's real. There's so much that can be communicated from face-to-face interaction. But I would say what can't really be countered in some ways is the actions that produce specific results that... like, those specific results are the results. Like, it's not going to be misinterpreted or something like that. Like, it can be misinterpreted, but the results still have that
They
effect.
speak for themselves.
They
yeah.
have a lingering,
Yep.
memorable, impactful resonance to them.
Mhm.
You know, like a vibration, a signal,
Sure.
if you will.
Yep.
Can't stop the signal, Mal.
That's true.
Can't
That's
stop
very
the
much right.
signal. So there we are. We are starting things in a little bit of a indirect way, building up cell phones. But I like that we are starting in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yes,
Keeps
that
us
helps
on our
keep
toes.
keep it fresh. And man, we had a lot of progress in this episode. Like
Quite a bit.
hydroelectric plant. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of things can just happen now that wouldn't have been able to before? Regardless, like even disconnected from the smartphone thing.
Well,
like
if they
it's
have
crazy.
wires and light bulbs, what if they're just working at night now? Like,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
like, let's talk about this, y'all, for a second. You know the concept of like the work day and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's wonderful, right? That's
Yep.
a specific amount of time, but we kind of chose it because of certain things with regards to
Yeah.
sleep patterns, light and darkness, stuff like that. It kind of makes sense, right?
Yep.
But if you're working like crazy around the clock, you're trying to get something done as fast as possible, you could turn it into a 16-hour,
Sure.
work day.
And especially in the winter when, days
It's
start-
darker in general.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. What if it's just
Yeah.
we have our place lit up?
Like imagine the Tsukasa people, or even just Homura specifically. She's watching this place, and the whole place is lit up
Yep.
all the time.
Yep. What
Like-
if they start getting into heating?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not just a thing of where it's like we're like beating the darkness, but we're beating the elements that
they
come
could totally
with the
do that.
darkness.
They
the
could
cold.
totally do that. Like imagine
Oh
Homura
my
is out there
gosh.
freezing her ass off, right? Watching them.
She's got a
It's got-
fire, maybe.
Yeah, she's got a
and it's
fire or
like,
whatever.
right
And she's
here.
got her furs,
Yeah.
But and then in addition to all the lights and everything, in addition to the cotton candy and whatever else that she might occasionally maybe go to the village for,
Sure.
then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, would you like a thermal blanket? Like
I mean, with batteries, they could do that. Yeah.
yeah, like
It
like
might not
that,
be efficient
that
use
might
of
be
power.
right. That might be a fire hazard, at the beginning and all that stuff.
Or-
but
yeah,
just like
yeah.
like a proper furnace area and stuff like in a building where it's like, yep, we keep it at a nice nice warm 72 degrees.
Yes. But here we are, and I love how much fun this show has with itself. It is so freaking good.
Oh, and by the way, I just have to mention this. The Asagiri Gen impression of Tsukasa was, well, gold.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
it was. That was
love the,
so wonderful.
After like specific
Yeah.
things. Yes.
And like the slow growing of the hair where it's like, wait, what's he doing? Is he like channeling? Oh no, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Yeah.
I see what he's doing. Yep.
Wonderful stuff. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep. I know you have definitely never heard of it before. My sci-fi novel Battle Lines. It's on Amazon for purchase. Link in the description down below.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb,
I'm Jacob.
and we'll see you all next time.